Religious leaders in Texas have come together in the wake of the hostage standoff. Joining us now is Dr. Omar Suleiman. He is an imam at a mosque in Texas and the founder and president of the Yaqeen Institute for Islamic Research. And with us, Pastor Bob Roberts, Jr. He is the co-founder of the MultiFaith Neighbors Network, a program that convenes rabbis, imams, and pastors from cities across the United States, something that's so important right now. And Dr. Suleiman, I'll start actually on that topic with you. I know you want to talk about the human side of this, the personal side of this, and the importance of unity, especially now.
Yeah, I think that there's been a lot of emphasis on the last moments of that standoff. But I think if you go to the very beginning, it started because Charlie refused to turn away from a man in front of his synagogue that he thought needed help. And he let him in, despite any security concerns. He made him a cup of tea and he sat him down. And I think that that's really emblematic of, what the best of us could be, what our potential is when we refuse to turn away from the homeless, when we refuse to turn away from a hostage situation, when we refuse to turn away from hurt and oppression, no matter who it is taking place against. And that is something that I learned from my faith. In the Quran, it says, do not scold the beggar. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, do not turn away the poor man. And so I think that that's something that he did with great nobility. And as a community here in Texas, we're trying not to turn away from him and from our Jewish neighbors that are in great pain right now.
And Pastor Bob Roberts, the MultiFaith Neighbors Network, what is the network doing now to try and sort of accommodate the needs of the moment?
We're mobilizing pastors and imams and rabbis across the 20 cities that we work in the United States. To help them build bridges. I do this in the U.S. I do it around the world in places like Pakistan and Sudan and all over the world. But it was just surreal. Rabbi Charlie lives just literally half a mile from me. His synagogue is about 3 miles from where I live. And I thought, I'm going all over the world to do this and right here in my own backyard. But I think one of the reasons why the community came together was because we have all of these relationships that we've built. And as a result of that, we were able to stand firm together. And one of my real priorities is that we move from just a concept of religious freedom to religious responsibility. And I'm a big believer in religious freedom. I worked with Ambassador Saperstein and Ambassador Brownback and now Rashad Hussein. But it's time that we put our arms together, that we work together, and we realize that we all have a responsibility to change things in our country, to push back on this harsh rhetoric that's just destroying us. It's a moment, I believe, for faith leaders to stand up and speak out. And I think it's painful because sometimes the people we're going to have to speak out the most about are those in our own tribe.
Well said. Dr. Suleiman, let me ask you about your experience on Saturday. You heard this news on Saturday morning. You rushed over to the Beth Israel synagogue to see if there was some way you could help, that perhaps you could take some time and speak with the man who took the rabbi and 3 others hostage. So what did you do when you arrived, and what was the scene that you described play out in the building where you were sort of adjacent to the synagogue as family members came through?
It's really something, because when you get there, all the politics of it really disappears, and it really just becomes about securing the release of 4 innocent human beings. And you're looking at a wife and a daughter, being Charlie's wife and daughter, wondering if they're going to get their husband and father back, somehow finding the way to not just make sure that they were still eating and drinking and doing what they needed to do to survive those hours, but checking up on the rest of us. And I think that for me, I just wanted to be there. I wanted to be there to help in any way that I could. If that meant offering pastoral support to the families, and that's why Pastor Roberts also came down there, and we had, a group of us that went down there, or if that was de-escalating the situation, I just wanted to be there. And I'll share this moment because I think it's an important moment, actually. And I actually sought her permission to share it yesterday. while this is all going on outside, all the noise and all the discussions about, the circumstances of it, there was this deeply profound moment where two women enter into the building, and very few people were allowed to enter at that time. And they were two Pakistani Muslim women, and they were close friends to Charlie's family, to Charlie's wife and daughter. And when they walked in there and hugged them, all of us cried, because it was a lengthy hug. And clearly these were not just people that they'd met at an interfaith dialogue or some sort of community event once a year. These were dear, close friends to them, two Muslim women from Pakistan. And they brought this dinner to the family, and they said, Charlie's going to eat this dinner with us tonight. And I thought to myself, how beautiful if people could see that moment right now. How much different would their commentary of the situation be? And that's really what it comes down to, again, is that you don't turn away. When we resist the urge to turn away, and instead we honor that God-given instinct to show mercy and to show kindness and to stand with and for those that are being harmed in the moment, then that's when we have our best collective potential. And I'm just glad that they came home. I'm glad that everyone went home, but I also hope that we can be there for our neighbors as they now start to heal for the long term.
That is indeed a beautiful moment. Pastor Roberts, you both have said powerful words of healing, but you also said something a moment ago I wanted to get you to expound upon a little further. You said that you have to confront sometimes when there is hatred or evil within your own tribe. How do you do that? How do you speak to someone there? And how do you get that person, he or she, to change their ways when they are surrounded by such rhetoric, such anger, such vitriol, particularly now as we're all having such a difficult time?
Three things. Number one, you've got to do what the Bible says and see people in the image of God. If I look at someone first as a Muslim or a Jew or even a Christian, I'm putting a label on them. But if I do really what the Bible says, I see this person is created in the image of God. There's this divine fingerprint on them. The second thing I think that's critical to do is build a relationship. It's easy to read books, listen to news stories, but get to know the Muslim, the Jew, the Buddhist, the Hindu, the atheist. Get to know them. They live all around you. And here's the third thing. When you have those relationships, you're ready for a crisis like this. At first, it was erroneous, but we were told that it was a Palestinian person. So who did I think of? First of all, now I live down the street from where all this happened. Omar Suleiman. So I called up another friend of mine, Ozzer. I said, Ozzer, we got to find Omar and get him over there. And I love Omar because what does Omar do? Omar, I call him up. He picks up the phone. He says, I'm on my way. And he doesn't have to do that. And he's willing to go in and talk to him. So what am I doing? I'm using all my relationships with the police chief here in Keller, with the police chief in Colleyville. I'm working to get this Muslim imam in because I know he can probably do a better job than he. Now, Omar, I would have gone in with you, buddy. I was there. All right. You weren't going to be alone. But the reality is, I trust this man. I believe in him. Don't agree with his theology and maybe even some of your politics, Omar, but I love you. And I know you care about people. And so in that moment, it's just like what Omar said. It's a matter of, okay, how do we de-escalate this? And how do we work it out? And see, if you have those relationships, then you can be ready to do stuff like this. But if you don't, you give nice nothings at news conferences like, oh, yeah, we got to pray and it's sad and it's tragic. Well, that's great. What are we doing to build civility right now? Right now. And I'm just tired of people pulling our country apart, whether it's politicians or pastors. We're the people that are saying we got to love one another. We got to pull this thing together or we're going to lose our country. And I'm tired of that. I'm ready for us to do something.
I hear you. And what an important conversation to have in an interfaith way. And Imam Omar Suleiman and Pastor Bob Roberts Jr., thank you both for doing just that. We really appreciate it.